everyone, it's Rose and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be talking about all the books I read in July. Guys, if you're new to this channel, let me just put it out here, this is not my average reading month. I did go a bit crazy. This was my first full month of unemployment, so I needed to escape reality and read a lot of fiction. With that being said, I read 26 books this month. I know, what is wrong with me? She's not been well this month, you guys. I read 8,797 pages. I read 8 out of the 10 books I put on my TBR, and I reached all 4 of my goals. Now these goals are just things I put down at the beginning of the month that are to do with books that I would like to achieve or do throughout the month. It's not like a I failed if I don't do them kind of thing. But on there I put library visit, which I did, find a new 5-star read, which I did, 600 YouTube subscribers, which I did, thank you guys, and at least 4 books from my physical TBR read. I read a lot more than 4 books from my physical TBR, let me tell you. So we are going to talk ratings, a bit about my thoughts on them without spoiling anything. I'm going to try not to go into too much detail because we have a lot of books to get through and I don't want this video to be hours long. I guess let's just get into it and talk about these books, shall we? The first book I read was Near the Bone by Christina Henry, and I rated this one 3 stars. I feel like if you want to get into horror, this is one of the first books that's recommended. I think it's one of the most well-known on like Book Talk more specifically when it comes to your go-to horror recommendations. I have had it on my TBR for years on and off, and I've never actually made the move to pick it up because I thought, this is gonna scare me. I found it at my local library, took it as a sign and read it. And the 3-star rating was actually because I wasn't scared. I felt that it was not, this didn't feel like horror to me. It wasn't creepy, it wasn't scary. I didn't really like the characters, but I did like the plot. We're following a woman who lives in the middle of nowhere with her abusive husband. And there is something killing the things that her husband wants to hunt. He thinks it's a bear or something, but it is this supernatural creature that is doing all sorts. I think the supernatural creature was not the scary bit. I think the husband and the way he abuses his wife is the scary side of things. She has no memory of life before being with him in this cabin, and when she starts to remember things, he tells her they're dreams, they're not real memories. She must have dreamt it because that's not real. It was okay. I read it in one sitting. It didn't drag at all, but I just didn't love it. Then we have Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson, which I rated 4 stars, and this broke my heart. And I don't know why it broke my heart, because we are told right from the beginning, we are following the point of view of a woman who is in an accident right at the beginning, and when she wakes up she is told she only has 7 days left to live because the accident has left her with a problem in her brain that is going to, you know, cause a brain hemorrhage and she's going to die. There's nothing they can do to fix it. And she spends those 7 days trying to figure out who did this to her, basically solving her own murder before she dies, because whoever attacked her, when she dies, it's going to become murder. She's still alive trying to figure it out. It's a very unique situation. I knew what was coming the whole time, and yet it still made me cry when I read the letters. If you know, you know. This is just really good. I really like Holly Jackson. It's always going to be a solid read for me, and this was no different. Then we have Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Arnfield, which I rated 3 stars. I didn't actually know this was horror until I picked it up. All I knew is it was a sapphic story and someone went under the sea. That's all I knew. I don't know how I felt about this. I think the ending was quite lackluster. I think the pacing was really quite slow, and I think it was supposed to be slow to build this like dread-inducing feeling, but I didn't feel that. So it did what it was. I know why it did it, but it didn't give me the feeling that it was supposed to, if that makes sense. Then I listened to a NetGalley audio arc called My Husband's an Author by James Cain, and I rated it 2 stars. It was just it was such a cookie cutter thriller of like, my husband's an author, he's planning this book where the husband kills the wife, and I'm looking through his search history and he's looking up these really specific things that he says is for his book, but I don't think it is. Every single plot twist I could see coming a mile off. I didn't like any of the characters. I felt like this has been done before so much better. It was just not for me. I didn't enjoy it. Then I read The Last Book Club by Joanne Rock, another NetGalley arc, which I rated 3 stars. Honestly forgot that a few of these books in a row were all from NetGalley, so I actually have the reviews. So I'm gonna look up what I actually said in my reviews. I remember now. I think 3 stars is honestly generous for this one, because right away we're thrown into meeting like 20 different characters and they're all very two-dimensional, so it's hard to tell them apart. We are following this woman who infiltrates the local book club that her sister used to be a part of, and her sister died under suspicious circumstances, and she's convinced one of the members either knows what happened or is behind it. Every single character that we met had a different motive, so it wasn't even like you could figure out who'd done it. Every single person hated her sister, had a reason to kill her, had a motive to kill her. It wasn't trying to figure out, okay, these people all could have done it. Every single person. There was not one person that didn't have the reason. It was just like, now I can't figure it out because there's no way. How am I going to predict this? Quote from my review. I literally had a notepad on hand to keep track of who was connected to who, and what motives they had. Everyone was the same, and there was so many of them. I could not figure out who was who. We have The New Boyfriend by Michaela Davids, which I rated 3 stars again. NetGalley arc, very cookie cutter book. It was engaging, it was fast paced and an easy read, but I have read this story so many times from different authors, so I could guess where we were going at every turn. It didn't leave me shocked at any point. Let's move on to some physical books, shall we? I did a 7 books in 7 days reading challenge, and the first book I read for that was Mocha by Monica Kim. This is a horror book. I rated 4 stars. If you want a book with female rage, you need this book. This was so good, so creepy, so disgusting. There's an element of supernatural. It is brutal at the end. The only reason it wasn't a 5 stars is because I think for a short book, we took too long to get to the action. I liked the build up. I think if this book was 100 pages longer, we could have kept the build up for just as long and then just extended the action. But, you know, for a book so short, we could have got to the point a bit quicker. But I did love it. I loved the messaging. It was so good, and I'd recommend. And we have The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith, which I rated 3.5 stars. I'm not a big fan of young adult fantasy, so for this to have a 3.5 star rating, you know it's good. If you're a fan of YA, you could easily rate this 5 stars. I loved the characters and those relationship dynamics. It actually made me tear up in a certain scene. I think I actually tabbed it. I don't know if I can read it to you without a spoiler. Hang on. I can read you this because you don't know who's saying it. I thought you didn't like me. Like you, Ivy Benton, I am obsessed with you. It's going to kill me. Oh my god. And then we have, if you know, you know. I can't even, I'm gonna get emotional. I would have loved you. I would have loved you so well. I know. I know. He needs to hear it twice. Just rip my heart out, why don't you? I didn't love the plot, but I loved the characters, and I enjoyed it enough to actually read the second book, which is called The Thorn Queen, and I rated it 3 stars. The character dynamics I loved so much in this one were not in the second one for a lot of it, because we're in a different place without spoiling anything. But I did like the plot more of that one, so it kind of balanced out. Then we have The Next Woman by Carolyn Corcoran, which I rated 3 stars. Everyone's living on an island. All of a sudden, a woman goes missing. Her name begins with A. Then a woman goes missing the next day. Her name begins with B. Then a woman goes missing the next day. Her name begins with C. And we are following we're following a woman who's trying to figure out what's going on before we get to her letter. We are following a reporter who's come to the island to try and figure out what's going on. And it was good. I liked it. I did kind of feel disappointed with the ending, but it was a good time. I'd recommend if you want a thriller. Then I had a 5-star read. This is Daphne by Josh Malerman. I get chills just saying the name Daphne because this book, oh my goodness. So Daphne is a dead girl, but she haunts the woods. She's a serial killer, and she will come for you if you talk about her or think about her too much. And our main girl we are following is a teenage girl with anxiety, right? and being in her head while she is losing her mind, because she's obsessed with not thinking about Daphne, because if you think about Daphne, Daphne's gonna come for you. So she is so obsessed with not thinking about Daphne that Daphne is all she can think about. Oh my gosh, as an anxiety girly, I was getting heart palpitations reading this book. So eerie, so visceral, so creepy, and so good. And we have We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough, which I rated 4 stars. This is marketed as horror, but I'd say it's more of a thriller with funny horror. I never know if it makes any sense when I say funny horror. I know what that means, but I don't know how to explain it to you, so I hope you just get it. We're following a couple move into this place, and the wife thinks that it's haunted. There are all these things happening to her, but she was recently in an accident where she went sepsis, and her husband is convinced that she's like seeing things and this is side effects of what's going on. There's so much more to it than that, but I can't tell you without spoiling it. I'd absolutely recommend this. I loved the plot twist. You can really see Stephen King is like on one of the blurbs, you know, where you get quotes from different authors, and I can really see the Stephen King like inspiration in this book. It is so like, I can't say the names of the specific books of his that it reminds me of because it will kind of spoil the plot twists, but I can really see it as a King fan that Sarah Pinborough has got some inspiration, and I loved it. I read 2 books by Claire Douglas. She's one of my favourite thriller authors, and now I have no books of hers that I own and haven't read. I think there's a couple of her like earlier released books that I don't own that I haven't read yet, so I still have a bit of her backlist to do, but I'm running out of books by her and it makes me sad. First up, we have The New Neighbours, which I rated 4 stars. So this woman has new neighbours, and her son is doing this like project for school where he needs different like ambient environment sounds, and he sets up this recorder, and she overhears a conversation, and she is convinced that the new neighbours are planning a crime, but no one believes her, so she goes to investigate for herself. Full of plot twists, fast-paced, easy read, good read. Claire Douglas is a staple at this point. She is reliable, she will always give you a good time. Speaking of, The Family Friend by Claire Douglas. I'm gonna get emotional again. What is it with these books? The ending of this, she was full of so much hope. It just made me cry. Like, I got so... Anyway, so we're following a woman who inherits this house from this old woman, and she doesn't know why, because she's like, I haven't spoken to her in like 16 years. I spent one summer at her house with my mum, and then she finds a half-written letter that seems like the owner started to write something to her, and then it seems like maybe she was murdered. So she's like, I'm gonna have to figure out what happened to this woman. And the secrets that unravel from both families, from the older woman's family and the current owner's families, are insane. This is so good. One of my favourite reads of this month was The Lake by Catherine Cooper. I rated this book 4.5 stars, and it honestly makes me upset that I can't read this for the first time again. Big house on a lake. There are so many reportings of different hauntings. This house has been in the same family for generations and generations, and they open it up to the public, and we're following, I think, 4 different people who go on like a tour and stay there for a few nights, and they start dying one by one. But that is literally only like part 1. I'm not ruining anything. We're following the current owners' ex-wives, and why they are ex-wives, and what happened in their past. The way all of the stories came together was perfection. Could not have guessed a lot of what happened. The author really took a risk with one of the plot twists she put in here. You'll either love it or hate it. I think it paid off so well. I loved it so much. It literally, I rated this 4 stars originally, and I could not stop thinking about it. I had to go back and up the rating because this is how you write a thriller. We have my DNF of the month. This is the only book I DNF'd, but it is 5 by Ilona Bannister. 6 characters on a platform, and in 6 minutes someone's gonna die. You don't know who, you don't know why, and you're trying to figure it out, but it's written in such a weird way. I just couldn't get behind it. It's written in like, you think you're in third person, and then all of a sudden the author's talking to you in the book and making funny comments to you. I just couldn't get along with it because it was really cringy. Didn't like the writing style, didn't like the language used. I really tried. I think I got to page 90 and I just couldn't anymore. Then I read a book that I'm so conflicted on. This is Tender is the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. This is one of the most popular horror books. This is one of the most popular what the hell happened dystopian books. I rated it 3 stars. The writing is arguably amazing. The messages are arguably very important and very good. However, I didn't enjoy it 1 single second of the book because of how disgusting and descriptive it was, which is why I rated it 3 stars, because like, that's the point of the book. So the writing must be really good if it's making me feel that way, but also I don't want to feel that way. But I know it's supposed to make me feel that way. Maybe if I explain to you what the book's about, you'll understand. If you don't know, Tender is the Flesh is a dystopian book where all meat has gone bad, so have all of the vegetarian and vegan options. The only answer to this is to breed humans in slaughterhouses, and we are following a man who works at one of these slaughterhouses. The descriptions of breeding these humans from babies, but they don't call them humans, I think they just call them heads, and how they've been like genetically modified. They have no voice box. It's just so gory to think about. And then the side plot that's going on is even more disturbing. I can't even tell you about it. I can't say I'd recommend because of how descriptively gross it was and how brutal it was and all of the content warnings, but if you want something that's going to make you think, read it. Then we have King of Gluttony by Ana Huang, which I rated 3.5 stars. Love Ana Huang's writing. I love the characters in this one. This had something missing from her other books in this series. I also feel like I don't like the chef competition that's going on in here, so whilst I like the characters, I didn't like the plot. And that's not because of how it was written. I just don't really like romances where the guy's a chef, and I don't know why. It was good. I will be continuing this series. There's only 1 book left. I cannot believe it. I loved it. Yeah. 3.5 stars. And we have a short story from NetGalley called Heat Trap by Ellery Lloyd, which I rated 3 stars. This was a full-length novel. This could have been 5 stars, but so much plot. It was 96 pages long. So much plot was squeezed into this, and it had enough plot for a full-length novel, so everything felt so rushed. Also, if I've only known you for 80 pages, a betrayal of your character is not going to get to me because I don't even know you, so how am I going to feel betrayed by you? It was fast-paced. It was a one-sitting read. If you're looking for a thriller, I wouldn't recommend. If you're looking for a quick read that's fast-paced, I would recommend. Then we have a book I don't know how to describe. This is Sour Fruit by Ahana Verdi, and I rated it 4 stars. Let me just read you the quote on the back. She curled up next to me, kissed my freshly bruised neck, and said, "Baby, I think there's something wrong with you." Following a woman who is having casual sex with a bunch of different people, we are also following her family dynamics. We're learning about the other people that she's sleeping with's lives. We are also learning more and more about her ex-girlfriend who passed away, and how she was so obsessed with this ex that she felt she needed to consume parts of her body. It's sapphic, it's horror, it's literary, it's cannibalism. It's kind of romantic in weird parts. I don't know how you'd describe it, but it was 4 stars. It really made me think. Then we have How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, which I rated 3 stars. This book is supposed to be really, really scary, right? It's supposed to be horrific. The bits that were supposed to be scary ended up making me laugh, okay? Because we're supposed to have these haunted puppets, right? But I was listening to this on audio, and the puppets are talking in a Mickey Mouse voice. So they're supposed to be really scary, but all I can think of is this puppet saying things in a Mickey Mouse voice. How is that gonna be scary to me? I was just laughing. It didn't hit for me. It might for you, but if you're gonna read this and you want to be scared, I wouldn't listen to the audio because it really is Mickey Mouse talking to you. Then I gave a series another chance and ended up reading 5 books from it. So I know nothing about this author, Katarina Diamond, right? It is Christmas, I believe, and my nan knows I like thriller. books. So she gifts me a series of 6 books by Katarina Diamond. I love finding books that I know nothing about because there's no way it can be spoiled for me. I've never seen a TikTok talking about it, so I don't know what's going to happen. I read the first book, The Teacher, a few months ago. I rated it 3 stars. I don't tend to like thriller series where we're following like a detective or 2 detectives and each book's a different case, right? Because I want my thrillers one and done. I don't want to get attached. I'm not here for character development, I'm here for the thriller. I decided to give it a second go and then it consumed the last week of my life. The 2 detectives in this book hold a special place in my heart now. We have The Secret, which I rated 4.5 stars. This was phenomenal. When Bridget wakes up in a locked room, terrifying memories come flooding back of blood, pain, and desperate fear. Her captor knows things she's never told anyone. How can she escape someone who knows all of her secrets? She knows that it can be those closest to us who hurt us the most. Oh my gosh. This, I was like, I cannot believe I was just gonna not continue this series. There is 5-star potential here. Like, how could I have done that? So of course I had to continue. We have The Angel, which I rated 4 stars. This is so good. This is about a potential like framing for murder and you're following the character that's in prison for something he didn't do, but he's convinced he did do because he's been told by the police he did it. So he's like, well, I must have. I didn't mean to, but I must have. Mind games going on. It's brutal. We have The Promise, which I rated 4 stars again. This is about a serial killer who likes to date his victims before he kills them. So our main female detective goes undercover and tries to date him so they can catch him. Love her so much. We have Truth or Die and Woman in the Water. I want to talk about these 2 together. I rated them both 3.5 stars. This one I rated 3.5 stars because we have the characters back that were in the first book that I rated 3 stars, and I think I just don't really like them. But something happens to one of the guy detective, right? And he doesn't tell anyone. It is so emotional. It is so heartbreaking to the point where I didn't even feel sad like I was going to cry. I felt like I was going to throw up reading it. I felt so numb and empty but also full of so many emotions. It is so heartbreaking and so dark. Please check content warnings, but this was such a good series. I have 1 book left and I'm going to read it in the first week of August. I am filming this a few days before the end of the month. So if I read, like if I finish any books in the last couple days of this month, I will just count it towards August. Like we'll talk about it next month. You won't miss any reviews, don't worry. The 26 books I read this month. I have no life, you guys. I have so many plans for reading vlogs and stuff that I'm gonna film in August. I don't know if I'm going to read as much. We'll see. That depends on whether or not I get employed again or not. But let me know how many books you read this month, what your favourite read was. Have you read anything I've talked about today? Please let me know. I love talking to you guys in the comments. Thank you so much for 600 subscribers as well. That is all from me. If you'd like to see more from me, please do subscribe as I post new videos every single week. I hope you have a lovely day and I will see you in another video. Bye!